Os filmes da franquia Terrifier são famosos por fazerem as pessoas passarem mal, desmaiarem e vomitarem nas salas do cinema. Mas por que que isso acontece? Qual que é a história por trás? E da onde que veio essa ideia tão nojenta? Bem-vindos a mais um vídeo no canal. Se você gosta de conteúdo assustador, bizarro e misterioso, você tá no lugar certo. Toda semana tem pelo menos 3 vídeos longos, todo dia tem vídeo curto, então tem muito conteúdo pra vocês. Se você gosta desse tipo de conteúdo, não esquece de deixar seu like, se inscrever no canal, comentar outros temas que vocês querem ver aqui. As fontes e os créditos estão sempre na descrição do vídeo. E no vídeo de hoje a gente tem mais um especial de cinema que a gente fala aqui no canal. Falei pra vocês que eu ia tentar separar esses vídeos que a gente tem entrevista, porque eu acredito que é mais focado para pessoas que se interessam por produções de cinema, assim como eu, e filmes de terror, de suspense no geral. E também não quero misturar tanto com os casos reais, quando não tem um caso envolvido. Acho que fica mais interessante se a gente falar em um vídeo separado. E pro vídeo de hoje, eu trouxe um pouquinho da história do palhaço de Terrifier e também a entrevista que eu fiz com o diretor, a convite da Diamond Filmes, para Terrifier 3. O diretor da franquia Terrifier se chama Damien Leone, e ele produziu o primeiro, o segundo, o terceiro filme, ele que criou o palhaço, ele que produz os efeitos visuais do filme também, porque ele é artista plástico, então ele que fica encarregado da parte sangrenta e nojenta que faz com que as pessoas saiam vomitando. A gente bateu um papo super interessante falando desses efeitos e como que ele pensa nessas coisas perturbadoras para colocar num filme. Eu confesso para vocês que eu sou um pouco assim com filmes muito sangrentos e muito gore. Eu não gosto muito de ver, eu fico imaginando se fosse comigo, então me dá um pouco de arrepio. Mas falar com ele sobre esse assunto foi muito interessante. Eu tinha 350 perguntas para saber como que funciona esses bastidores. Então, antes da gente ir para a entrevista, eu vou contar para vocês como que surgiu o palhaço e alguns pontos que eu vou trazer no vídeo, ele mesmo explicou. Então, eu vou trazer o próprio diretor falando para vocês sobre isso. Como vocês sabem, Terrifier tá chegando no terceiro filme. A estreia vai ser no dia 31 de outubro desse ano, bem no Halloween. Afinal, o Art é um palhaço que aparece no Halloween. A primeira aparição do Art foi em 2003, em um curta chamado The Ninth Circle, ou O Nono Círculo. Nesse primeiro curta, ele aparece em uma estação de trem e tem um momento em que os olhos dele ficam brilhantes. Parece que brilha meio vermelho, meio branco. Na história, tem uma mulher nessa estação de trem junto com ele e ele a arrasta meio que de volta para o inferno. Lá, essa mulher encontra outras garotas que também foram capturadas e elas se deparam com vários seres estranhos que parecem fazer parte de um culto. E é óbvio que eles tiram a vida delas da forma mais brutal possível. E aí sempre ficou aquela dúvida durante os filmes do Terrifier do que é o Art. Ele é uma entidade sobrenatural? Ele é um tipo de demônio? Ele é um humano? Nesse primeiro curta, a gente ainda vê o Art com uma máscara que aparece o pescoço, o que dá a entender que ele é humano. Mas quando ele tá com os olhos brilhantes assim, a gente vê que ele não é. A gente pode entender que talvez ele estivesse servindo esse culto e levando as vítimas para eles matarem no inferno. Então ele seria meio que um mensageiro. Será que ele estaria sendo controlado pelo diabo? Será que ele já foi humano alguma vez? Ou será até mesmo que ele foi banido do inferno, porque nem no inferno as pessoas estavam aguentando ele, e aí ele foi condenado a viver na Terra? O diretor contou um pouco pra mim da onde surgiu a ideia do Art, e uma parte que eu achei bem interessante é que ele já sabia que existia um palhaço na cultura pop de filmes de terror que era muito famoso, que é o Pennywise, o It, como vocês sabem. E aí ele usou o Pennywise meio como uma contra-inspiração. Então, por exemplo, o Pennywise é colorido, o Art é em preto e branco. O Pennywise fala, o Art não. O Pennywise não usa armas, o Art usa.
I wanted to start from the beginning. How did you come up with the idea of creating a new horror movie villain?
I created him a very long time ago, probably 2005, 2006, and he was just one supporting character in this short film that I consider my first official short film. I got out of high school, didn't have money to go to film school, so I talked my family into giving me some money to create a short, like a 10-minute short film that I could shoot on actual 35mm film that would look semi-professional, that I could submit to film festivals. And it could serve as my calling card as a filmmaker and as a makeup effects artist, so people could see if I had anything to offer. So I knew that I wanted to pack it out with sort of traditional generic creatures and classic kind of trope characters that we're all familiar with, that hopefully I could put my own little spin on. And one of them was a killer clown, because I loved killer clowns. So I wanted to see if I could, you know, put a fresh take on it. And then when it came time to design the clown and figure out his personality, physically, I wanted him to look as different from the Tim Curry 1990s Pennywise as possible. Because he's the king of the killer clowns. I mean, he is the ultimate type of killer. So that's why I made him that sort of very simplistic, monochromatic, black and white, no color, you know, the bald cap. I wanted his face to look more sinister than a human. And since I'm a makeup effects artist, I wanted to sculpt the prosthetic for him. So I said, I'm going to make him look kind of witchy or like the devil. I'm going to give him a pointed nose, pointed chin. And I don't want him to speak. I don't want him to make any sound whatsoever, because that's different. Tim Curry's a verbal kind of joke, right? So mine will still have that sense of humor a little bit because he's a clown. But he won't speak because I always thought the silent killers were creepier, like Michael Myers and Jason. So I listened to everybody. I went and I made another short film called Terrifier, and it was about 20 minutes long, and that's when I really turned him into a slasher.
A primeira produção, chamada mesmo Terrifier, surgiu em 2011. Como eu falei para vocês, o diretor, o Damien Leone, ele é especialista em artes visuais, então é ele que faz a máscara do Art, ele faz toda a maquiagem e ele também auxilia em toda a produção das cenas mais sangrentas. Se você nunca assistiu Terrifier, o filme é muito famoso por ter mortes absurdas. E assim, eu não sou muito de assistir filmes gore, mas dos que eu assisti, eu achei o mais tenebroso. Tem muitos momentos em que você vê explicitamente, sei lá, uma cabeça sendo cortada e muito sangue. E aí o Art vai lá e ele pega sal na cozinha e joga na ferida das vítimas. E tem coisa muito pior. Então ele é conhecido como uma criatura, uma entidade sádica, que quer matar as pessoas da pior forma possível. É um slasher bem mais pro lado gore. E aí uma parte que eu achei muito interessante na entrevista é que eu queria aprofundar nesse lado das pessoas passarem mal assistindo o filme. Mas na opinião do diretor, para ele não é algo nojento, é arte. Ele mesmo fala que a gente não tem ideia de como funciona uma cena daquelas para ser produzida. Tem que ficar uma pessoa exatamente em determinado lugar para poder espirrar o sangue. E aí tem todas as próteses que eles fazem para imitar um torso, imitar uma cabeça e parecer real na hora. E algo que eu acho muito interessante de Terrifier é que a gente vê a evolução do filme, porque ele começou como um filme de baixíssimo orçamento, que ganhou muito dinheiro nas bilheterias, e agora o orçamento está crescendo. Então os efeitos têm ficado melhores, as atuações também, e o terceiro filme está prometendo ser mais bem elaborado ainda por conta desse orçamento ainda maior. Aquele curta que eu falei pra vocês que saiu, que se chama O Nono Círculo, a inspiração desse círculo do inferno seria o inferno de Dante, que tem todos os círculos, e o nono seria o mais profundo, onde o próprio diabo residiria. E o diabo aparece no curta também com o Art. A história do Art também tem vários paralelos com o Michael Myers, de Halloween. A gente também tem o Michael como uma figura que parece humana, mas ao mesmo tempo é sobrenatural, que aparece no Halloween. Então talvez tenha rolado alguma inspiração ali. O Damien também explicou como que funciona com a máscara e a maquiagem do Art e o que mudou.
Can you walk us through Art's makeup process? Because it's not just a mask, a lot of things happening there.
It's a more elaborate prosthetic appliance. So originally for the first short film, it was the features were a lot more subtle. He still had the pointed nose and the chin, but it wasn't as intense as it became. The second short film, I re-sculpted it and I made him look more like a zombie. And I made everything more, pointier, his chin, everything was more extreme. So he wears a set of dentures, uppers and lowers that snap on, that are very rotten, right? That give him that look. In part one, he wore black contact lenses. Which made him look more sinister. We only had one pair of lenses. I think by the end of the movie, one of the lenses split. So I think in the last couple of scenes of Terrifier, he's not wearing the contact lenses anymore. And then when we to Terrifier 2, we just said, screw the lenses. We're just going to go with your natural eyes. And so he's wearing a new prosthetic in part 3. And I had them design scleral lenses, which cover your entire eye, because I wanted art to be more demonic in this one.
Na minha opinião, depois que eu saí dessa entrevista, eu fiquei bem impressionada de pensar no filme por esse outro lado, na questão de ser arte e não tão nojento. Tipo, as mortes super sangrentas como se estivesse acontecendo mesmo. Eu adoraria acompanhar a gravação de um filme desses pra entender como que funciona, mas eu particularmente sou uma das pessoas que fica um pouquinho enjoada. Inclusive, nesse terceiro filme, eu já fiquei sabendo que tem uma cena em específico, que é a cena do chuveiro, que eu até perguntei pra ele, vocês vão ver aí, que parece que é a mais brutal de toda a franquia.
Terrifier 3, I heard there's a scene, I think it's a shower scene, that people say it's like the most disturbing thing.
Yeah.
What can we expect for this movie?
Yeah, you could expect you could expect people to not take showers as frequently as they took before. They're like, yeah, the shower scene is one of the big set pieces, the big kill scenes in this one, and it's my homage to Psycho, the shower scene in Psycho.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I always think, like, you know, would Alfred Hitchcock have shot that scene the same way if he made it today? Would he have gone a little further? Would he have showed more like penetration with the knife? I mean, because you don't really see any gore in that. It's just beautiful the way it's composed and the way it's executed. It's very artistic. But me, I said, you know, if I was shooting that today, I would show everything you could possibly do with that knife in that shower. But I didn't want to be too on the nose with Psycho, so I said I got to give him something crazier than a knife. I'm going to give him a chainsaw, because I love. There's a really notorious shower kill scene with a chainsaw in Scarface. Al Pacino, Brian De Palma film, right? That everybody loves. So this is the marriage of, this is my homage to both Psycho and Scarface, mixed with Art the Clown, and this is the bastard result of that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see.
Pelas avaliações, a galera tem gostado e falado que definitivamente é mais brutal do que os dois primeiros. Nesse terceiro filme, tudo se passa no Natal, então a gente vê o Art com uma fantasia de Papai Noel.
Did you imagine that he would become such a popular, like a pop culture icon like that? Why do you think that happened?
No, like I said, especially not when I first created him, but by that second short film, I did feel something special. It wasn't so. No, I never imagined it would have this impact. The Freddys, the Jasons, Michael Myers, those were my heroes. I had model kits of them, posters like all over my room. I was the little weird kid who was obsessed with horror movies. You know, visually, I think Art the Clown is very striking. Most people discovered the character just by scrolling through Netflix and seeing his face and not knowing anything about the character. I grew up loving, you know, violent slashers, and I love special effects. I am a special effects artist. So enabling him to really have creative and gory graphic kill scenes and showing some things that you don't see in a lot of other slashers, where you're pushing the envelope and pushing the boundary of special effects and kill scenes, that gets the fan base excited, and they want to see something new. And it's almost like a dare. They want to see, how far can we be pushed? How far is this filmmaker willing to go? The charm to this character, where he's actually as sadistic and, you know, terrifying as he is, he's also very charming, and he's funny, and that dark sense of humor goes a long way.
Is there a scene that you think might go too far, like that you wouldn't put on the movie, or you're just like no limits at all?
Certainly limits, but you know, I push the limits too far for some people, regardless of my limit. But there's a lot of things in part 3. I really pushed the boundary of in some areas, where some things are going to be very off-putting for audience members, regardless, just because of the content, like what's going on. But the way I execute it makes it more, it's more palatable than you think it might be. Where if I decided to maybe show things a lot more, or show things at all, you would say this is way too far, and I'm turned off, and you've lost me as a fan. You've alienated me now. First and foremost, I mean, the gore is shocking and it freaks people out, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it as art. It's artistry.
Yeah.
And way often than not, like it goes unappreciated. I mean, you have the greatest artists in the world creating these bodies and painting these bodies and executing effects and putting blood pumps in the right spot and the studying the anatomy of what something would look like. I mean, it takes so much time, so much effort from every department. I mean, and then you get that on set, and then you have the artists who light it, and they have to make it look a certain way. I mean, it's for it to just be discredited as you're disgusting, it just all boils down to that's gross, you're disgusting, is hilarious on some level, because there's just so much thought and ingenuity that goes into executing a lot of these effects.
Yeah, but I think it's very interesting because you use a lot of practical effects. So how, like, I feel like if you miss something, like if you make a mistake, how do you do it all over again? I feel like you have only one shot to get it all right.
You do a lot of times, and a lot of times it goes wrong. So you have to improvise in the moment, and you have to maybe shoot it a different way, or you have to edit it a different way, where, like say you wanted like a clean impact of a knife going in or something, and it just didn't work that way. So now you have to figure out a way. Maybe you don't see the first hit. Maybe you just hear the first hit, and then you go back and it's already bloody, so you can cover up a mistake. Right? There's a million different ways to tweak something now, which is amazing. And I have to give credit to, because I'm known as the practical effects guy, right? All old school, but I still use visual effects now, like CGI, if I can, to enhance or fix the practicals if they go wrong. Or so we did that a lot in this movie, but you would never know it because they're basically invisible. It's like an invisible art form. So everybody still thinks they're just purely practical, but a lot of times there's a little VFX enhancement in there or something from amazing artists, and you would never know that it's happening. So, one thing that we do that's really cool that you can only do now with VFX is we'll build a dummy, a likeness of a person that's getting really mutilated in the worst way. Now, because of CGI, you can actually take the real actor's face and map it onto the dummy. So you can rip a dummy apart. You could have the dummy blinking and looking around, and it's the person, but you could never do that to you'd have to build an animatronic or something that would just never look as real as the real person's face. You'd look like a robot blinking, So like, there's little cool, subtle things like that you could never do before that are a brilliant tool that you can use now to make your practical effects look better.
Why did you decide to use the Christmas background for this movie?
Yeah, I wanted to keep it. I thought it was a good idea. My producer said it to me a long time ago while we were shooting Terrifier 2, and we were just driving to set one day. It was during Christmas season. And he said, we should put art in Christmas one day. That would be cool. And immediately I said, that would be really cool, actually, because for one, it's one of my favorite horror subgenres. I love Black Christmas. There's a Tales from the Crypt episode that revolves around a maniac Santa Claus. That's probably my favorite Christmas horror short film. And I just thought that Art the Clown would be perfect in that scenario. He's already carrying around a huge garbage bag. It looks like Santa's sack of goodies, right? It's Art's sack of goodies. So just taking all those familiar Christmas tropes from not even Christmas horror movies, just from Christmas movies, but now putting Art the Clown in that situation, you get so much comedy out of that, and you get so many disturbing, horrific results out of those. Like, what would it be like to have Art the Clown be a mall Santa Claus for a day, right? And just have all these happy children around him asking, telling him what they want for Christmas or getting presents, what can you get out of that situation? So all that stuff kind of excited me. I love keeping the franchise fresh. I think just keeping him in Halloween is too restrictive. He doesn't have to be restricted to one setting or one holiday. I think you could put Art the Clown in any situation. He's going to be hysterical and ridiculous. In this franchise, we've opened up the possibilities. I mean, once we opened up the supernatural doorway in this franchise, anything is possible. I could kill Art the Clown in one movie, and if I really wanted to, I could bring him back anytime because anything is possible. So I keep telling fans that as long as you're still excited and interested in this franchise, you really want more, and I still have to have something interesting and new to say with the character, then I will continue to make more.
Why do you think people like this genre so much? Slasher and gory movies.
I think that people gravitate toward horrific things in everyday life. Like, it's one of the reasons why I think boxing is so popular, like the UFC is so popular. I don't think most people, or at least a very large majority of people who are watching the UFC, are going to see the artistry of what the skills that these fighters are bringing to the table. I think they want to see somebody get knocked out and almost get killed, right? I think that's what's so exciting. If you leave a boxing match and no one got knocked out, you leave disappointed. So I think that there's still this sort of primal, innate, like, bloodlust inside of us, where we're still evolving out of that. And I think just the idea that violence can hit us is all around us, or the potential for violence and horror is around us at every moment. I think it's so overwhelming, even though we don't show it, we just know it's there subconsciously, that we need ways to deal with that. And we need some sort of cathartic release to come to grips with that. And I think this communal experience of seeing horrific things on the screen in a movie theater, where you're terrified but simultaneously safe, and everybody sort of has this subconscious understanding of these events could hit us at any moment, and it's terrifying, but we're going to basically make a mockery of it and experience it and kind of just laugh at it and say, oh, well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's kind of like a showing of strength, believe it or not. I don't think people give horror films the credit that they deserve. And it doesn't mean that you're a psychopath or a serial killer. I think it's the complete opposite of that, because of what I just said. I think it's a cathartic release. It's a way of accepting and embracing the horrors of reality and your own mortality, which is so profound.
Mas eu quero saber de vocês já assistiram o filme? Se estão ansiosos pro terceiro? Comentem aí o que vocês acharam e até a próxima.